During the summer of 2020, we had plans to go to Germany. COVID changed that. Then we decided to go to Disney. COVID said, nah. Then we decided to go to South Dakota. But that's the same thing, right? Hey folks, welcome to the Down the Road Travel Channel. My name is Will Van Winkle. Planning a vacation during COVID was a nightmare. We made and changed plans several times. At the end of it all, we settled on a trip to South Dakota in the travel trailer. Because, what better way to social distance than go to the middle of nowhere in a little box that no one else can get into? It could not have been a better trip. We started out from Tennessee and we stayed a night in Iowa to see my mother. Then we moved on, staying a second night at Porter Sculpture Park. See that video already up on the Down the Road Travel Channel. In fact, you may as well go ahead and subscribe to the Down the Road Travel Channel because there's a lot of stuff coming up. We were not allowed to use a generator at Porter Sculpture Park, nor did we have one on that particular RV. And there was a bad storm that night, so we couldn't have our windows open. So it got a little hot in the little 16-foot bunkhouse, but we made do. Now, while at the sculpture park, we looked at the sculpture garden and marveled at just how peaceful everything was. Honestly, with the exception of, a moo-moo here and a moo-moo there was very little noise. Had it not been storming, we'd likely have had an amazing view of the stars as well. From there, though, we set out to our campground, which was the Rapid City, South Dakota KOA. Running several hours ahead of schedule, we made a stop at Wall Drug simply because we heard so many times during our planning, you have to visit Wall Drug. And like the Bugs Bunny cartoons of old, there was a sign for it every half mile or so. So we saw a lot of advertisement for it. We were curious as to what it was, and we went ahead and stopped. It didn't disappoint. Going into Wall Drug was like taking a step back in time. This quirky little stop began as a pharmacy during the Great Depression and since has grown into a huge compound of shops, restaurants, and attractions. From Western wear to homemade donuts to a 5-cent coffee and just so much more. There's always a little something for everyone at Wall Drug. So we enjoyed our unplanned stop. After we left, we headed straight over to the Rapid City KOA, set up, spent about 20 minutes there, and then we decided we would load up the camera and head out to hunt some buffalo at Custer State Park. A haven for wildlife and a must-see for wildlife enthusiasts, Custer State Park offers visitors a chance to see some of the largest herds of bison roaming free on the Great Plains. Springbok, bighorn sheep, cougars, prairie dogs, coyotes, and even burros can be seen there. They're actually known as begging burros because apparently they beg for food. We didn't see the burros, but we did see pretty much everything else. We did not see any bears, which, I'm okay with. If the wildlife doesn't capture attention there, then head down the road to Needles Highway. Wind your way through the granite spires and marvel at the breathtaking views, or take a dip or rent a kayak at Sylvan Lake. A word of warning though, even in the middle of July, the water was cold. Really cold. Really, really cold. Now, to be honest, and I'm being 100% honest here, if you miss everything else and you only went to Custer State Park, it is well worth your trip up to South Dakota. I don't advise skipping anything though, because the entire area that we were in is just a must-see for any nature lover, traveler, adventure seeker, history enthusiast. There's just so much there. I had no idea. I really just expected this to be a horrible vacation. It was great. While there, Dana and her son went up in a helicopter to see the expanse of the park, while her daughter and I stayed firmly on the ground and fed prairie dogs. They will ignore you if you don't have food, which is available at the shop, which is also the entry to their sanctuary. When we went back over to the helipad to pick up Dana, I spotted a coyote slowly making its way around the other side, and perhaps it was spying an unaware little morsel. While in the area, we visited Bear Country, USA. Open from April through November, weather permitting, obviously. Driving along the 3-mile route, you'll see many different animals, from coyotes to badgers, bisons, cougars, and just so much more. Doors and windows and sunroofs are required to be closed at all times while driving through the wildlife park. Pets must remain in the vehicle. No feeding the animals. Some of these are pretty dangerous animals, so they want you to stay in your car where you have refuge if they decide to charge. They are wild animals. They are not tamed. They're not trained. They learn certain things because, they get fed at the same time at the same place. But, if you're coming in there with windows open and you've got, beef jerky in your car, one of these animals is going to smell it and might come after you. So, windows closed. Pets in the car, not outside. If you need to stretch your legs, however, you can do so at Babyland, where you can see bear cubs playfully climbing trees, the wildlife walk, and of course the visitor center. Pets are allowed, as I said, while driving through, but not outside of the vehicle. You can find Bear Country USA at 13820 South Highway 16, Rapid City, South Dakota, 57702, and prices to enter and opening hours can be seen at bearcountryusa.com. We checked out a cave. Cool. No good footage due to dark situations there, though. It's a cave. They had lighting, but it was still too dark for the cameras at the time. And at the time, I was not doing the channel, so I didn't have the better cameras. I only had my cell phone. So no video footage of that. I will say, though, these are not like the tourist caves that I've been to in many other places. The grounds are very, very uneven. Stairs were super steep. Our asthmatic had to take a pretty long break after the climb to catch her breath. So just be advised, if you aren't the most fit or you have breathing issues, asthma, COPD, whatever, it may not be the best place. These caves will leave you breathless for all the wrong reasons if you have these issues. They'll leave you breathless regardless, but if you have breathing issues, literally. We also made our way up past Sturgis to Deadwood. It was bar after bar. And with 2 minors in tow, there really wasn't much that we could do. I'm sure the party is really here during the annual motorcycle rally in Sturgis in August. But in July, during the morning hours, it was just a very short stop on our agenda because there wasn't much that we could do with the kids. We thought about maybe grabbing lunch there, but we decided to head back. That's when we hit the cave before heading back to Badlands. If you're interested in American ghost towns, Ardmore, South Dakota, founded in 1889, had an official population of 1 in the 2020 census. 2020 happened to be when we were there. We drove through, and while we saw nobody, with the exception of a Swan's food delivery truck, we had the distinct feeling that we were being watched. It was like something out of a horror movie, and I personally felt that had we stayed after dark, we would be next. The town survived the Great Depression without a single family needing to go on welfare, but slowly died off. By the 80s, it had a population of 16. There were about 15 houses left. Many had fallen in or caught fire. Unclear if it was like lightning strikes, natural reasons, or arson. Someone coming at, hey, it's an abandoned house, I'm going to catch it on fire. Cool, there's flames. Fire, 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 fire. Either way, Ardmore is a glimpse into the past. We saw Mount Rushmore. The National Memorial is carved into the granite face of the mountain and represents the 60-foot tall heads of Washington, Jefferson, Roosevelt, and Lincoln. Carving the mountain took from 1927 to 1941 and stands at an elevation of 5,725 feet. Each president was originally to be depicted from head to waist, but lack of funding forced construction to end on October 31st of 1941. And only Washington's sculpture includes any details below chin level. There have been proposals to add certain figures. In 1937, they proposed Susan B. Anthony added to Mount Rushmore. That was proposed by Congress. In 1989, proposals were made to add John F. Kennedy and Ronald Reagan. And in 2008, Obama was proposed to be added to Mount Rushmore. Now, when he was asked about this, he went on record as saying his ears were too big. I am not really sure what he meant by that. I'm guessing maybe there wasn't enough land area for him to include his ears. They're a little big, yeah. The guy has a good sense of humor, though, so, you know, he teased himself about it. Pelosi felt Biden should be added, and of course, Trump has proposed several times that he be added. Luckily, engineers and sculptors alike have stated the rest of the rock is unsuitable for carving, so hopefully the monument will stand as is for future generations to enjoy without political agenda. Intended to represent the first 150 years of American history, Mount Rushmore was carved. But in response to Mount Rushmore being carved into a mountain taken illegally from the Sioux Nation, the Crazy Horse Monument was conceptualized for a mountain in Black Hills. And Crazy Horse's face was finished in 1998. Construction was started on the project in 1948 and slated to be completed in 30 years. But being plagued by funding issues, construction had been halted many times, and there is now no planned completion date. The tribes taking part in the project will not accept federal funding, so this is completely done by private donations, tours. Your entry fee is actually going to continue the monument. The monument was envisioned as being a tribute to the spirit of Crazy Horse and the Native Americans in general. But there is some controversy here because Crazy Horse resisted being photographed and was deliberately buried where his grave would not be found. I can understand the argument on both sides of the coin. And to me, that makes the site even more interesting, though. In fact, I find it much more interesting than Rushmore because you can see the progress, and if enough time passes between your visits, you can even see the changes. Now, we're thinking of taking another trip up to South Dakota in the near future. At the time of this video, it's been 5 years since we've been there, so there may have been some changes by now. I'm really interested to see what's going on up at the Crazy Horse Monument. Of course, we looked at and made our way through Badlands National Park. Now, another reason that we want to go back is because we couldn't get the teenagers off their phones and out of the car long enough to explore the wind and rain sculpted landscape and missed much of the formation striped with natural colorations from centuries of erosion and geological change. Knowing these layers are rich in fossils, but only being able to see very little bit along the roadside trails peppered throughout the park made us a little sad. The Black Hills of South Dakota are as diverse in history and culture as it is in landscaping and animal life. There is something here for everybody, and even though I was prepared for a much different vacation, I absolutely love South Dakota, and I think you will too. Also, when making your way through the hills, stop by one of the local lodges. Don't be afraid to try elk, bison, bear, whatever may be on the menu. These things are actually pretty good. The bear was a little... It may have been the spices they used. It was a little weird, but I'm pretty sure it was the spices and not the meat itself. If you have tried this stuff, though, let me know in the comments below what you thought of it. I mean, the elk was good. The bison was good. The bear I was a little torn on. It was a bear stew. So, you know. Now, we do plan on heading back at some point in the near future, so there may be some individual videos coming up. So be sure you subscribe to the Down the Road Travel channel, enable notifications so you'll be informed when any future content is available. Remember to like, comment, and share while you're at it. I hope you enjoyed my look back at our South Dakota trip. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you down the road.
Let's hit the road.